Lesson 28, complex fractions. We're going to start with complex fractions in example 28.1, and this is one of the easier lessons here. This is a fun one. This is a fun one. In order to simplify these complex fractions, all we got to do, if you remember, say you have two let's say 2/3 divided by 1 over 2 in the past. So we've had 2/3 divided by 1 over 2. What do you have to do? Well, if you have a fraction, you have to multiply by the reciprocal, right? And it turns into 2 over 1. That's what we've done. Well, that division sign is the same as 2 over 3 divided by 1 over 2, right? That's the same thing as, I'm running out of room, that's the same thing as 2 over 3 divided by 1 over 2. So all we have to do is flip the reciprocal. So if it was here, we would turn this around, right? So they would cancel, and if you do it to the bottom, you have to do it to the top, and you would solve. That's all we do with these. So you got a over b divided by x plus y over b. Well, what we got to do is multiply by the reciprocal, b over x plus y. We simply turn these upside down. Now they cross out here. They would cancel. If you do it to the bottom, also got to do it to the top, b over x plus y. Now, look at this. They're being multiplied. The b would cross out with the b, because b over b is 1, and you would be left with simply a over x plus y, and you can't go any further with that. That would be your answer. Awesome. And that's example 28.1. That's pretty fun stuff right there. 28.2 gives you a over a plus b divided by c over a plus b. Same thing. If we're dividing by a fraction, we multiply by the reciprocal. So we flip it upside down. If you do it to the bottom, you got to do it to the top. Crosses out down here, a plus b over a plus b cancels, c over c cancels. Look at this, a plus b and a plus b. These are being multiplied, remember? So therefore, we can say these can cancel out, and you are simply left with the fraction of a over c. And that's your answer. That is complex fractions, and that is probably one of your favorite lessons you've learned so far this year. So that's the first concept in lesson 28. Second concept is rationalizing the denominator, and I'll show you what that is. If you have 4 over radical 7, we cannot say it's simplified if there's a radical in the denominator. Okay? Radical cannot be in the denominator. So therefore, we have to get rid of this. The way you get rid of it is by multiplying by radical 7 over radical 7. The reason you can do this is, remember, this is the same thing as multiplying by 1, actually. So all we're doing is radical 7 divided by radical 7 would be 1. So therefore, we can manipulate this and simplify it and get the radical out from the bottom. So I'll show you how. We got 4 times radical 7 on top. Notice when you multiply radical 7 times radical 7, that would equal radical 49. Square root of 49 is 7. So 4 radical 7 over 7 would be that answer. And that's rationalizing the denominator. Just know that you cannot have a radical in the denominator. So let's look at a couple of examples. 28.3 gives 3 radical 2 over 5. Try to get where that glare isn't on it. You should be able to see it. 3 radical 2 over 5, or 3 over 2 radical 5. Okay, on this one, you may be wondering what to multiply. Do I multiply by 2 radical 5 over 2 radical 5? No, you simply still multiply by radical 5 over radical 5. That's all you do. You don't bring the 2 into it at all. So then when you multiply, you would get 3 times radical 5, 3 radical 5, over radical 5 times radical 5 is 5. So 5 times 2 would be 10. There's your answer. 3 radical 5 over 10. One more. 2 over 3 radical 12. What I would do, I can go ahead and see that radical 12 is not a prime number and can be reduced or simplified. So I'm going to take radical 12 over here. We're going to have a little powwow and we're going to factor it out. Factors of radical 12 is 4, 3, 2, and 2. I can take those 2 out, 2 2's out to be 1 2. And this would be the same as saying 2 radical 3. So I erase the radical 12, and I write times 2 radical 3. Go ahead and multiply the 3 times 2, so 2 over 6 radical 3 is where we're at now. And just like we did with the last one, you multiply by the radical on top of itself. Radical 3 over radical 3, and we get 2 radical 3 over 3 times 6. Square root of 3 times 6, 18. 18. Is there any other way you can simplify it? Yes, you can go a little bit further because 2 and 18 can be reduced. 2 goes into 2 once. 2 goes into 18 9 times. So you could say radical 3 over 9, and that would be your most simplified answer. You actually could have simplified it here when we had 2 over 6. I just simplified it in the end, but you could totally have made this a 1 over 3. Either way would work, just depends on where you want to reduce it. Normally I would reduce it on the front end. But that is lesson 28. Pretty fun, pretty easy, simple lesson.